Hey guys, welcome to the greatest common factor. Okay, so the greatest common factor, or known as the GCF, of two or more monomials is the product of the GCF of the coefficients and the highest powers of the variables common to all monomials. So, for example, let's take a look at what is the GCF. Let's just look at 15x squared and 10x squared. Let's say 15x cubed plus 10x squared. So let's try to find the GCF. So looking at this can be very difficult. Monomials are single terms, okay? And the product, the GCF is the product of the coefficients and highest powers. So the idea here is really if we break these two numbers down. So let's just look at what 15x cubed breaks down into. Well, that breaks down into 1 times 3 times 5. Okay, and then that's times x cubed is just x times x times x. So now let's break down 10x squared. Okay, so 10x squared is equal to 1 times 2 times 5 times x times x. So ideally, what you're looking for are things that, the greatest things that are in both. So notice how both have a 5. This one and this one have a 5. Well, and then they have x squared, right? So this is what's common. What's left over would be what goes in parentheses. So if we break this down, so 15x cubed plus 10x squared, the greatest common factor is 5x squared. That's the GCF, greatest common factor. Okay, so if we wanted to factor this out, we could say, well, 5x squared, okay? Then what's left? Well, look, 1 times 3 times x. Well, 3x, because 15x cubed divided by 5x squared is 3x. Plus 10x squared divided by 5x squared. Let's look what's left. 2, and that's it. So 3x plus 2. So that's how you'd break that down. And that's what we're going to study today, the greatest common factor. Okay, we use that to break down and simplify polynomials. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so let's factor out the GCF. Okay, so let's look at 6x cubed plus 4x. Now, you could say, well, 6x cubed, there's a couple ways you can do it. All right, you can just say, well, 6 and 4, 2 goes into that. So you could say, well, we have 6x cubed. Whoops. We're not writing there. There we go. 6x cubed plus 4x. The GCF, well, you know that 2 is common. What else is common? Well, they also share 1x. So we could say 2x is our GCF. We're going to factor that out. And so 6x cubed divided by 2x is 3x squared. Okay, 4x divided by 2x is just 2. And that is our simplified polynomial, and we factored out the GCF. Now let's look at 20n squared minus 5n plus 10. So I'm looking, n is not in all three terms, okay? But you can rewrite this. Well, what's common to all of these? 20, 5, and 10. 5 is common to all of them, right? Because you could say 5 times 4n squared, right? 4n squared minus, we could take out the 5, and then you have times n, plus, we know that 10 is just 5 times 2, right? All right, so look what we have here. So you can factor out, the 5 is the only thing we can factor out. So you factor out the GCF, which is 5, and here's what's left. 4n squared minus n plus 2. Okay, and then we're going to leave it at that. We're not going to simplify that any further. They just want us to factor out the GCF. So let's continue to look at some more examples. Okay, so factor out the GCF again. Negative 10a squared minus 20ab. Well, we know that we can factor out at least 10. And notice how they both share an a term. So we're going to factor out a 10a. And so now really we're just dividing negative 10a squared by 10a. Okay, so you get negative a and minus, well, I guess we could factor out a negative here. So let's just factor out that negative so that turns to positive. So 10 goes into negative 20 2 times. So we're going to have a plus 2b. Okay, so there's a simplified form, and the GCF is negative 10a. If we go down here to 7y minus 6, 7 is prime. Okay, so this is not factorable. We can't factor this any lower. It's a prime binomial because there's nothing other than 1 that goes into 7y and 6. Now here, let's look at this next one. 8x cubed y squared 12x plus 12x squared y cubed minus 24x y to the fourth. 8, 12, and 24. Well, off the bat, 4 jumps out. Now let's look. They all have x terms. We can only take the smallest amount. We have a cubed, a squared, and an x. So we can take out the x because they all share one x. We have y squared, y cubed, and y to the fourth. So we can also take out a y squared. Okay, so now basically you're dividing each of the 3 terms by your GCF. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, right? X cubed divided by x is x squared. And y squared divided by itself is just 1. Okay, so plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay, x squared divided by x is x. And y cubed divided by y squared is y. And then we have minus 4 goes into 24 6 times, and then we have x divided by x, which is 1, y to the 4th divided by y squared is y squared, and so there is our simplified polynomial. Okay, GCF of 4x y squared. Now, we're going to do this last example here. We're going to solve y plus bm equals mx plus a for m. So let's solve for m here. So you have y plus bm equals mx plus a. We got to get m by itself. So first, let's get rid of we got to get m by itself. So we're going to go ahead and get m and bm and mx on the same side. So we're going to have y plus bm minus mx equals a. We're now going to take away y from both sides, so we have bm minus mx equals a minus y. Now we can factor out the GCM here. The GCM of bm and mx is m. So we factor that out, and we're left with b minus x equals a minus y. And now we divide each side by b minus x to solve for m. So we have a minus y over b minus x. Obviously we know that b minus x cannot equal 0, so we don't want b or x to be the same. Alright, so guys, that is factoring out the GCF. If you have any questions or comments, you can see my email address below, and we'll see you next time.